Found out my parents used my identity to open credit cards when I was 16. I'm 28 now, and I've been trying to get my finances in order. I've always been pretty responsible with money since moving out at 19, but my credit score was never quite where it should be. I chalked it up to being young and maybe missing a payment or two back in the day, though I couldn't recall anything specific. I decided to get a detailed credit report from all 3 bureaus because I was applying for a mortgage. That's when I saw it. 2 credit cards opened when I was 16 with balances in the thousands, long overdue and in collections. My heart just sank. I knew immediately who it was. My parents. Specifically, my mother, who handled all the finances and paperwork in the house and had a knack for finding creative solutions to their constant money problems. They always lived beyond their means, buying things they couldn't afford, complaining about debt but never changing their habits. Growing up, they were always secretive about money, but also constantly stressed about it. They'd have loud arguments, and I'd hear snippets about bills and loans. They'd ask me for small amounts of my part-time job money just to help out and never pay it back. But this is on a completely different level. I called the credit card companies, and they confirmed the accounts were opened with my name, date of birth, and social security number. The addresses on the accounts were my parents' house. There was no doubt. They had stolen my identity as a minor and racked up debt they never intended to pay. The betrayal is immense. Not only did they put me in a terrible financial position before I even had a chance to start my adult life, but they did it behind my back, knowing it would damage my future. It explains why getting approved for anything significant has always been a struggle, why interest rates were high. They set me up for failure. I haven't confronted them directly yet. I spoke to a lawyer who specializes in identity theft, especially involving family members. It's a complicated situation, and pursuing it legally against my own parents feels heavy, but letting them get away with it feels even worse. They've shown zero remorse for anything they've ever done, so I expect denials, gaslighting, and turning it back on me somehow. Right now, I'm working on disputing the debts with the credit bureaus and gathering documentation. It's a long, frustrating process made worse by the emotional weight of knowing the people who were supposed to protect me were the ones who harmed me the most. It's just another layer of the messed up foundation they built for me. This is absolutely horrific. Your own parents actively sabotaged your financial future. That's peak narcissist behavior. Hit subscribe to support sharing these vital stories. My mother insists the time she locked me out of the house in winter never happened. I was about 14, maybe 15. We had a huge fight about something trivial, probably my grades or chores. It escalated quickly, as it always did with my mother. She had a temper that could turn on a dime, and once it was on, there was no reasoning with her. This time she screamed at me to get out. Just get out! I don't want to see your face! I was defiant, standing my ground, which only made her angrier. She grabbed my arm, dragged me to the back door, and shoved me out onto the porch. It was late autumn or early winter, already dark and freezing cold. I wasn't wearing a coat, just a t-shirt and jeans. The door slammed shut and I heard the deadbolt click. I stood there stunned, shivering. I knocked, I pleaded, I yelled, but nothing. The lights were on inside. I could see shadows moving, but no one came to the door. I remember the wind biting at my skin and the feeling of sheer panic starting to set in. I was outside for what felt like hours, huddled on the porch, contemplating trying to break a window or just running away. Eventually, long after I stopped pleading and just sat there numbly, the back door opened again. My father, looking annoyed rather than concerned, told me to get in before you freeze to death and immediately started lecturing me about respecting your mother. There was no apology from either of them, no acknowledgement of what she had done. Fast forward to a few years ago, I was talking with a therapist about my childhood and brought up this incident as an example of the emotional and physical neglect I experienced. Later, feeling perhaps foolishly hopeful, I mentioned it to my mother during a rare, stilted phone call, trying to see if she had any recollection or, dare I hope, regret. Her response was immediate and firm. That never happened. I would never do something like that. You're remembering things wrong. Why would you make up something so awful about your own mother? She sounded genuinely indignant, as if I were the one lying and being cruel. It was classic gaslighting, denying a clear, traumatic memory as if it were fantasy. It made me question myself for a moment despite the vividness of the experience. The cold, the fear, the click of the lock, the relief and shame when my father finally let me in. It's all seared into my memory, but she erased it, or rather tried to erase it from my reality. It's not just this one incident. It's countless smaller moments, arguments, cruel words, things she said or did that she later denies or twists. It makes having any kind of relationship impossible because you can't even agree on shared history. It's a constant battle for your own sanity, trying to hold onto your truth when someone is actively trying to dismantle it. It confirms yet again that seeking validation or acknowledgement from her is a pointless and painful exercise. Moving across the country was a nightmare because my mom saw it as a personal attack. I decided about a year ago that I needed to leave my home state. My job was remote, I had saved up, and I felt like I needed a completely fresh start, far away from the constant low-level stress and occasional high-intensity drama that came with living relatively close to my narcissistic mother and enabling father. When I told them I was planning to move, not just to another town but several states away, the reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly negative. It wasn't sadness or concern for my well-being, it was pure, unadulterated fury that I would dare make such a decision without their approval, and one that would remove me from their sphere of control. My mother took it as a personal rejection. "You're abandoning us," she wailed. Despite the fact that I'm an adult and hadn't lived with them for years, she accused me of thinking I was too good for them and our hometown. She started spreading rumors to extended family about how I was being selfish and irresponsible, how I was making a terrible mistake, how I was probably running away from something I wasn't. As the moving date approached, things got worse. She called constantly, sometimes crying, sometimes raging, trying to guilt trip me into changing my mind. She'd demand to know every single detail of my plans, where I was going, who I knew there, the exact address, my job details, information I wisely kept vague. She'd show up at my apartment unannounced, ostensibly to help pack, but really just to snoop and make passive-aggressive comments about my belongings and life choices. Packing was a nightmare. Anything I wanted to take that she had ever given me, even small, insignificant items, became a point of contention. "Oh, you're taking that? I guess that means you'll never visit again." Or, "I can't believe you'd want to take that old thing, I should just throw it out." She even tried to accidentally pack some of my essential documents in boxes she planned to keep at their house. The day of the move was chaotic. She showed up early, hovering and criticizing the movers. She kept pulling things out of boxes claiming they belonged to her or someone else. She got into a loud argument with my father in the driveway, ostensibly about the move, but clearly just creating drama to make everything harder. It felt less like moving and more like escaping a hostage situation. Getting on the road finally felt like taking my first free breath in weeks. Even now, months later, the calls and texts haven't stopped, though they've shifted to complaints about how little I visit, impossible given the distance, and veiled threats about their health or finances. But I'm here, I'm safe, and I'm building a life on my own terms, far away from the constant sabotage. The move wasn't just changing locations, it was escaping a gravitational pull that was trying to keep me tethered to their dysfunction. Yet moving is a huge trigger for them losing control. Did you face similar drama when you moved? Tell us in the comments and please subscribe right now. Expected to drop everything and solve my end parents' self-created crises always. It's a pattern that has been repeating for as long as I can remember. My parent, specifically my father, though my mother enables it, seems incapable of handling the most basic adult responsibilities without creating a dramatic emergency that requires immediate intervention, usually from me. Whether it's a bill they forgot to pay that's about to result in a utility cutoff, a minor car issue that they declare makes the vehicle completely unusable and demands I come fix or replace, a disagreement with a neighbor that turns into a full-blown feud requiring my mediation, or a technological hiccup they refuse to learn how to solve. It's always a crisis, and it's always my problem to fix. There's no sense of them taking responsibility for their own actions or lack thereof. It's always presented as something urgent and unavoidable, something that must be dealt with right now, regardless of what I have going on in my own life. My job, my relationships, my own emergencies, none of that matters when they declare a crisis. The calls or texts usually start with a dramatic pronouncement, "You won't believe what's happened," or "I don't know what I'm gonna do." This is followed by a convoluted story designed to evoke maximum pity and guilt, carefully omitting any details that might point to their own negligence or poor decisions. The conclusion is always the same: I need to drop everything and come rescue them. If I push back, if I say I'm busy or suggest they handle it themselves or find another solution, the reaction is swift and punitive. Guilt trip, after everything I've done for you, accusations, You clearly don't care about your own family. Tuciones or the silent treatment are common tactics. The message is clear. My life is secondary to their manufactured needs. I remember once having to leave work early because my father insisted his internet was completely broken and he couldn't function. I drove 45 minutes only to find he had unplugged the router to move it and forgotten to plug it back in. He acted like I had saved the day, offering no apology for the wasted time or the lie. This constant state of being on call for their self-inflicted problems is exhausting. It prevents me from fully investing in my own life because there's always the anticipation of the next emergency. It breeds resentment because there's never any appreciation, just the expectation that I will continue to be their unpaid, on-demand problem solver. It's a heavy chain to drag behind me, constantly reminding me that in their eyes, I exist primarily to serve their convenience and drama. Oh, the self-inflicted crises you have to fix for them. That's so draining. If these posts resonate, please like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next video.